Welcome friends, this is the continuation of our series Ajax. In this tutorial we will learn about how to send a request to the server. So the form of the request and the number of parameters to be sent with the request will be shown here. So let's start. First, XML HTTP request object, that is XHR object, is used to exchange data with a server. Now the question is how to send a request to the server, in which form it should be used. So for that purpose we use the open and send methods of the XHR object. The XML HTTP.open method accepts 3 parameters and it is immediately preceded before the XML HTTP.send method. So the first parameter is the method. It is the type of request, either GET or POST. Also there is also a third method called head, but we do not use it generally. The second parameter is the location of the file on the server. In the case of a server-side language script like PHP or ASP.NET, we can also append parameters to the URL. The third parameter is asynchronous, which is by default true. We can also set it synchronous, but if we set it synchronous, then our entire application will freeze and the multi-threaded behavior will not be achieved. Next line is XML HTTP.send, which accepts a single parameter as a string. It is only used for POST requests, that is, the string parameter should be passed only when used for POST request. Otherwise, if the request is GET, we simply write XML HTTP.send inside the parameter null. So which method to be used, GET or POST? GET is simpler and faster than POST and can be used in most cases. However, we should use POST when a cached file is not an option, that is, update a file or database on the server, that is the requirement. When there is a case of sending a large amount of data to the server. Because POST has no size limitations, we must use POST when there is a large amount of data. When there is a security concern, we should use POST, not GET method. So this is the example of a GET method without a parameter. We are simply offering the URL and then sending it. While in the case of the script accepting parameters, we use question mark for concatenation operation and then use AND for multiple parameters and then sending it off to the server. You might notice that in both the cases the third parameter is always set to true. To post data like an HTML form, add an HTTP header with set request header. Specify the data you want to send in the send method. We'll learn about the body of the AJAX function to be called. What goes inside the body of the function is the prime importance. Once you master the skills of the writing body of the AJAX function, it is pretty easy to learn and start writing AJAX script. So if you recall our previous tutorial, this was how the function load XML doc looked like. And this is how it looks like when you write the AJAX stuff. So this is the AJAX stuff. Let us understand this function line by line. First, we are declaring a variable called XML HTTP. XML HTTP is an object inbuilt in JavaScript. First, we check if The browser supports XML HTTP request object or simply XHR. If it is supports, then we create a new object of XML HTTP request. However, in case of Internet Explorer, we need to create an ActiveX object. Then there are number of states an XHAR object goes from. Whenever the state of the object changes, we call the function. This is the inner function. Now, if you recall, if the ready state is 4 and status code is 200, that is, if the server has loaded all of the contents of a particular request and the status code is 200, that means the response is received and everything is okay. We retrieve the text, the contents using XML http.responseText method and place it as inner HTML of the division here. So the content which is fetched goes here. So whenever there is response available from the server, it is received and fetched here. Then if there is no change in the state, we open up a file with request method get and the URL of the file ajax intro.txt. This is the relative URL, and set its asynchronous property to true. You can omit this as it is always true by default, and then send the request to the server to open up this URL. So whenever a response is received, this cycle is repeated. So the entire life cycle is first to create an object, then define a function for ready state change, and then what if the response is received to be done. And the last step is to open the URL. Here you can pass a number of parameters if it is a PHP script other than just a plain text or an XML file. So this is how inner workings of an XHR object are done. Thanks for visiting this tutorial. Thank you.